All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour and a Half. Ken Hovind and Jonathan Sampson here live, September 26th in 2005, defending the idea that the Bible is literally true and the evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of planet Earth, but that's okay. We love you anyway, and we're here to get you converted. We got a call, Jonathan, or should I go on here?
Yeah, we got a caller. We had Jared on the phone.
Jared, yes, sir. Go ahead, Jared.
Let's see if you can get me converted, Ken.
Hi. Hey, you keep calling. You're listening. I mean, that is going to help. It's going to take a while, but it's going to help.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to a topic that we had been discussing at the end of one of our calls a few calls ago.
All right.
And that was about your idea that God created animals and plants with similar amino acid structures so that we could all eat each other.
Well, everything, the whole universe, the whole Earth system is totally 100% efficient in its recycling. Nothing. Zero goes to waste.
Well, if everything is going to be eating plants and vegetables at the very start, then what does everything else have to be made of to eat those plants and vegetables?
I don't think that's a very good argument because if I can just use your automobile kind of argument, cars aren't made out of gasoline.
No, there are a variety of materials in cars, and there are 20 different amino acids in proteins.
Uh-huh. But either, gasoline doesn't build the car and give the car nutrition and make the car continue to go. And so forth like that. Gasoline is for the combustion.
There are 26 letters in the English alphabet, and with that basic building unit, that alphabet, you can build an infinite number of books. There is no limit.
So here's a question. You think that Adam and Eve were the first humans?
I know they were.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And the fall happened before they reproduced, right?
Apparently, yes.
Okay. You can answer for a reason?
I'd have to leave that one to God. I don't know.
Okay. Because do you see where I would go with that?
Yeah, what if they had a child before they fell?
Yeah, and then if that kid had kids and had kids and had kids.
Yeah, you could
what if there was no death before the fall and they had kids, they would eventually fill up the entire planet and they would kill themselves.
Well, you've got a couple of false assumptions built into that statement. Suppose God's original plan was the perfect world. It was, say, 90% habitable, where today it's only 3% habitable. Suppose the fruiting capacity of the plants was 1,000 times or 10 times or 100 times, whatever, greater than it is today.
Right.
And suppose the reproductive rate was much, much slower. They're living 900 years, and they have, 30, 40, 50, 60 kids, whatever. And they just develop more slowly. They're 30 or 40 or 50 before they get married, before they reach maturity even. Just a much slower, easier life.
But you have no evidence for that, though.
No. Listen, I'm just saying this is a scenario, okay?
Hypothetical.
Well, also, Jack Kawaza talks about, and he's an orthodontal surgeon, he talks about how the space bones and so forth, as these fossils that we're finding show that they were aging slower, maturing slower. And that's from a PhD in that field, so if that counts as evidence.
Right, Neanderthals certainly did mature slower, and were probably 30 when they reached maturity. But anyway, then suppose God's plan was, if the planet does eventually get full, which at some point, you're right, it would. Mathematically, that's just obvious. It would eventually fill up to the capacity. Then there's a bunch more planets out there and a bunch more stars. And maybe God's plan was to populate the universe, which apparently is infinite as far as we know.
So you think that the humans would develop starfaring technology?
Well, if they're living forever, you could learn a lot in thousands of years. You can learn a lot in 100 years, but you could really learn a lot in 20,000.
Not only that, he told them, Jared, you said you used to be a Christian and everything. Why did God tell Adam and Eve to be fruitful?
And multiply?
Yeah, just to replenish and fill the earth. They were told just to fill the earth. They weren't told to fill and overflow the earth. So, maybe if they would have just said, okay, well, we got plenty of people. We don't really need to make any more. Let's just worship God.
The only study I'm aware of, and you may want to find some more on this, Jared, but is a study done with deer. You might have heard me mention that once, where they the deer would not go into estrus. They would not multiply. They wouldn't have any babies, because they thought their enclosure was full enough. Maybe that is a biological phenomenon.
Maybe I already have it, but do you have a reference for that?
It's been 25 years since I saw that.
Okay, well, I would really need to be able to look into it myself before I can respond to that.
Right. Yeah, that's fair enough, sure. Okay. I know that in captivity they have a very difficult time getting many animals to breed. You can ask any zookeeper that.
But I'm not sure if the reasons for that are well understood or not.
Well, it's a fact. With the reasons, when we went with the reasons, but it's a fact. It happens. Okay, so it may be that in captivity or if there's a population that is sufficient, Maybe there's a biological mechanism that clicks in, says, oh, no more.
Yeah, it might be a danger instinct.
So I don't know. But we do know it's a fact, and any zookeeper can tell you that it's very difficult to get multiple types of animals to reproduce in captivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I just want to be clear on your position on this. You told me before that it was sort of the ingeniousness of God's design that He created animals out of the same sort of structures as the plants, so that there could be other animals that could eat plants and other animals that could eat animals, and both, and mix it all together and have this food chain. Right?
One big happy biosphere, right, made of common materials.
Right. And as I pointed out before, and you didn't, the show ran out of time and you didn't respond to it, but the point is that if He created that design in the beginning, before the fall of man, that He was anticipating the fall of man. Now because you said that they were vegetarian before the fall.
Yeah, that is certainly possible. Not that He wanted it, but that He knew. God knows everything, past, present, future. So
not only that, I think you're overlooking something, Jared. Say we have two, creatures right here that are vegetarian. One of them has the potential to be, carnivorous because it has the sharp claws and everything. And these are both, chemically similar to plants, so they can consume the plants. Were they created to consume each other, or were they both, created to consume the same food, and therefore they're going to both have the similar chemical makeup as that plant that they're eating? Does that make sense to you?
I'm not sure. Is there a question or a statement there?
Well, I guess it's a bit of both. If we have, a deer and a lion, and the deer and the lion both eat some plants, now they both have to go to digest that plant, right?
Well, obviously.
And use the plant for nutrition, so they're both going to have the same, pretty much chemical buildup of that plant right there.
I don't think that lions eat plants, but I don't know.
No, but if they can,
wait. They still do today. Lions still eat plants occasionally. That's not.
You got little tyke who.
But they don't need to, though. They can live.
No, they don't need to, but they can.
And they can live totally on plants too.
That's true.
Live
off of plants and would not be able to live off of flesh.
Are there many animals that do exactly that?
Yes.
Okay. So sure.
We got this is interesting. Someone just wrote in, BP Righteousness said, my cat eats olives. So.
Yeah, but the cat doesn't live off of olives, though. The
cat's digestive system cannot handle the olives. They can't do that.
Intestines are too short.
Yeah.
So the cat's going to die, right?
Apparently this one does.
Right.
There's an issue. Oh, look, you can swallow bubble gum. You can't live off of bubble gum. There's a very big difference between what your diet can consist of and what you can push through your intestinal tract.
Okay, so the only way for us to convince you is to actually have a cat come on the radio program for 9 years and eat vegetables.
So why don't you contact a veterinarian and ask him, is it possible for cats or any carnivore to digest fruit and vegetables? See what he says.
This is really not the point, though. The point is
it is because you're making these claims, Jared, that cats cannot digest and live off this stuff. And
I think that's true.
About it, okay, but whenever we talk about it, someone just wrote in and said, my cat eats olives.
Oh, wait. Okay, let's suppose it is true. I don't know that it is, and I would have to question that, Jared. It may be that some animals cannot live on plants. Okay?
They might have lost that ability.
That still might be a loss of information, not a gain. So you're proving our point.
No, this has nothing to really, I have a position about, the diet of cats, but that really has nothing to do with what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it seems like you are imposing a restriction on what God can do. If God did not intend for animals to be carnivorous, if everything was supposed to be vegetarian, why didn't He design everything so they were incapable of eating other animals?
There are many animals that are incapable of eating other animals.
Well, here's a question right here. The designer of the gun, did he design the gun to hunt animals? And if so, why didn't he make it to where it won't penetrate human skin?
He's giving a logical example.
Human designer to an omnipotent designer.
I'm using intelligence here, okay? Why didn't God do this? Well, you have human intelligence, or you didn't question omnipotent intelligence.
Yeah. Why don't they design the cars where they cannot get wrecked, they cannot run over anybody?
Yeah, you're stripping away the vital component of my argument, which is that God is omnipotent. Humans aren't. That's the whole crux.
No, we're talking about, you just asked why didn't He design it this way? You're thinking that God has, this is what God wants because that's a possibility of what He
I don't
created.
even believe in God. I'm just taking your concept of God and showing you that it doesn't make any sense.
I think it makes perfect sense.
You are imposing on God that He had to design the animals in such a way that they were potentially omnivorous, which means He must have anticipated the event of the fall of man.
Well, that is one option. I don't know that, okay?
What's the other option, Kent?
Well, that it just happens to work that way.
Just happens. So in other words, so He could not have designed it otherwise?
I'm sure he could have, but just like the
Why
guy,
didn't he then?
Well, why don't they design the whole airplane out of that?
Don't compare it to a human designer. It's not the same thing. God can do whatever he wants.
Oh, my goodness.
Correct. And he's going to fix it back someday just exactly like that, Jared.
You're completely ignoring my point, and I consider that a victory.
Jared,
you won't acknowledge
what I'm saying. The whole field of analogies out of science. That's depressing. That's
okay, why didn't somebody design the English alphabet so it could not be used to produce pornographic books?
The English alphabet wasn't designed.
It wasn't?
It wasn't?
No, it evolved. All languages evolved.
With no intelligent input, or is there intelligent input along there?
There was intelligent input along the way, but that doesn't mean it didn't evolve.
Well, that's
it's not exactly the same thing as biological evolution.
Wait, you better define evolution then.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, in this case, I'm using the term evolution slightly different than I would use it biological evolution.
Hey, Jared, how about this? Was English designed over hundreds of years and thousands of years?
It was partially designed and partially evolved.
Partially designed and evolved through people's intelligence.
Well, it's true. English today is very different than original English. Some of our letters...
Nobody sat down and decided, okay, we're going to reverse the meaning of the long and short vowels, and we're going to have the grammar be Germanic and the roots be Latin. It was never designed in that sense. It evolved in the sense that it accumulated changes over thousands of years.
If that's what you mean by evolution, then I would agree.
That's all that I mean in this sense. I'm
Okay.
just saying it wasn't instantaneously designed by an intelligent designer.
Okay.
Which is what you mean when you say designed.
Well, so it's designed by multiple designers.
No, it was not really designed consciously like that. There's a lot of things that happen in the evolution of languages, like errors will happen in transcription, and people will then think this is the way that something is supposed to be pronounced or the way that the grammar is supposed to work.
Good. Now let's use the same analogy for cars. Did the Lincoln evolve from the Model T?
I don't think so. Why?
Well,
there's a slight truth to that, but not completely.
By the same definition you're using for alphabets, I would say it'd be the same idea that the Lincoln evolved from the Model T. But it involved thousands, tens of thousands of intelligent designers putting their little input here and there.
Yeah, that's why it's not the same exact thing as biological evolution, but it follows a similar sort of progression.
That's why biological evolution is not science. There is no evidence of it happening. There's no connecting link. We can see the connecting links between the Lincoln and the Model T. You can see the links. You can see when Henry Ford reluctantly decided to go to double leaf springs on the back instead of single leaf springs, because everybody else was doing it, and people stopped buying his cars in 1920.
Do you think that God was incapable of designing Adam and Eve so that they would not rebel?
Here's a question, Jared. If you don't believe in God, why do you spend so much time talking about him? I mean,
because I'm trying to show you how ludicrous your ideas are.
Okay, if God was capable...
That's like asking... Hold on a second. That's like you asking me... Like me asking you, if you don't even believe in evolution, then why do you spend so much time talking about it? Don't be ridiculous. That's why you talk about things.
It's because it's destroying so many people. It's destroying science. I like science, and evolution is destructive to science.
Okay, then let's not ask these fallacious questions like, if you don't believe in God, why are you attacking the concept of God?
No, hold on. What is so detrimental about someone believing in God?
Oh, I think it causes a lot of problems.
Such as, give me one from the Bible. If I live my life according to the Bible, and you live yours according to whatever you want to do, what's something that's going to be destructive about me doing that?
If he obeys the laws, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat, don't commit adultery, you think that's going to harm society or help society?
Those specific things, I think, are good because those are obviously pretty much common elements of laws in Western civilization.
Yeah.
Mostly Eastern civilization, too. That's not really the same thing as what I'm talking about. I think that believing in things that have no evidence is a bad thing to do.
I agree, and that's why we're trying to get you away from this dumb evolution idea.
Yeah, and that's why...
an hour and a half every day.
What?
We dedicate an hour and a half every day to...
And we pay for it. That's how serious we are about this, Jared.
Okay, so let's get off that topic because I answered your question.
Okay.
I want you to give me a straight answer about why God would design it that way.
Okay. You asked, why didn't he design it where they could not rebel? Then you're creating robots, animatrons, animated meat. That's not what God wanted. Why don't I tell my wife who's 5 feet tall when she comes home, grab her by the throat, draw my fist back and say, tell me you love me or I'm going to slap you?
Do you think that God had any control over whether they rebelled or not?
He could have, certainly. I want my wife to say, I love you. We'll be back right after the break, folks. Hang in there. All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour and a Half. Ken Hovind and Jonathan Sampson live September 26th. Defending the position, the Bible is true and evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the world. And Hugo Boss. Jonathan, have you ever heard of Hugo Boss?
No.
Some kind of designer, clothes designer. Somebody just sent me the link saying Hugo Boss designed, and I looked it up. They got all kinds of stuff on here, handbags and purses. He designed the Nazi uniform.
Like Calvin Klein was
I guess, yeah.
business.
I never heard of Hugo Boss. I don't get into designer clothes. I just, whatever's in the closet, my wife lays it out here anywhere it is. Okay. It don't matter to me. Okay. You married yet, Jared?
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, no. Some people that are would say, unfortunately, yes. You realize that, right?
Yeah, they married the wrong person, I guess.
Well, 50% of marriages end in divorce, and 70% of second marriages end in divorce.
Yep.
And about 100% of Hollywood marriages end in divorce.
Yep.
And the police officers, like where was I at? Talking to a cop somewhere, he said 99% of the female cops divorce. It is nearly fatal to their relationship, being a cop and being female. Yep. Anyway, just a little bit of trivia. Go ahead.
Oh, was there a point with that? Or?
When you get old, birds come flying through and you grab one and you don't know what you got till you open your hand, And these thoughts come flying through my mind and I just kind of reach up and grab them.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. So I think you were in the middle of saying something whenever the break came.
Oh, see, that thought already left. You were
about animals being able to consume each other and stuff like that, and God's plan.
Yeah, could God design where they wouldn't? I said yes, but then they would be robots. They wouldn't really be humans. Okay,
let me answer that objection. See, my problem with this is that if you're going to say that God wanted to let His creation have, well, at least part of it, right, have free will,
right,
have free will, then why couldn't He have created Adam and Eve to where they had free will, but still not have rebelled against Him?
That's put them in a playground saying you can play anywhere in here, but you can't go outside. That's not really free will.
Well, he designed where they couldn't fly to the moon.
We're talking about physical and possibilities. You're talking about putting a limit on what they can decide to do and not to do, not what they can.
No, I'm not saying he's going to put a limit on it, but do you not think he could have designed it so that they had free will and wouldn't rebel?
I can't imagine a way that he would say you guys have free will, but you can't rebel, because then it's taking away part of their free will.
What's the word?
And that's intellectual, barriers right there. I can understand.
Okay.
They don't have free will to fly to the moon. That's a physical thing, and that's an endless vortex. Well, why don't they have free will to form wheels?
Okay, well, let's try to understand this. Would you agree that some of the animals apparently do not have any such thing as free will? They just simply operate on instinct, like take ants, for instance.
Well, I don't think there is a such thing as free will. This is purely a philosophical thing from your perspective that I'm talking about.
Oh, is there free will at all, you mean?
No, I don't think there is. That's irrelevant to discussing what you think.
Yeah, but if the brain evolved and it's nothing but 3 pounds of matter that evolved by chance, random chemicals, then how do you know even your thoughts on that topic are correct?
I don't know anything with 100% certainty.
Well, now we're getting close. So now we're ready to get you converted.
No.
I don't know. I think that might be a step in the wrong way. You can't know anything.
Give me something, Jonathan, that I can know with 100% certainty.
Well, let's see. Your name is Jared, which I'm assuming is a male's name. Are you a male?
Yeah, and I know that with like 99.99999% accuracy.
I feel for you, man. I feel for you. I'm sorry.
It's a philosophical thing. I'm just saying I leave that tiny little bit of doubt because I've been burned so many times that I thought that I was 100% sure that I don't like to think that I'm sure about
so
something.
So you're not 100% sure that you're a guy?
Well, are you 100% sure about evolution, though?
No.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure about anything.
Are you 100% sure that there is no God?
How do you make a decision on anything, then?
You make decisions based on far less than 100%.
Are you 100% sure of that statement right there? Are you 100% sure that you make decisions based on far less?
No. If you could show me an argument to prove that it's possible to be 100% sure about something, yeah, I think I'd probably believe it. I mean, although in the case of mathematics, I'm not quite sure about that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I mean, how do you do proofs or anything in geometry if you can't be? I mean, you got to have something you believe in.
Right. It seems like if anything is going to have 100% accuracy, it would be logic and math. But even that, there's some questions.
You're picking and choosing, basically. Sometimes
no, I'm not sure yet if I believe that there is a such thing as 100% certainty. It's a philosophical thing, and since I don't positively believe in it.
But you see how illogical that statement is. I'm not sure that there is a real such thing as 100% positivity. But then you're saying you're 100% sure. You're not sure there's 100% positivity.
No, I'm not saying I'm 100% sure. I just denied that. I said that if you could show me somehow that 100% certainty were possible, I would consider it.
Are you sure?
All right.
Yes.
Okay. I got 40 other people want to be on the program here, Jared. Any other topics on besides you don't think that God did it God could have designed man where they couldn't
Well, he's
rebel.
98% sure he doesn't think that God could have done it that way.
I just want you to respond to the idea that God could have created Adam and Eve to where they had free will and yet wouldn't have rebelled.
I think
because otherwise you're limiting the power of God.
I think I'm showing you the great intelligence of God. He created the whole spectrum. There are rocks, for instance, which have no free will. There are certain animals that have no free will. They simply respond to their environment. So God made some like that, like you're asking for, but he made man very special. We are not a rock or a plant. We have this free will. You can love God or reject God. That is your choice. And that's wonderful. I've chosen to love him and obey him. You can choose whatever you want. And we'll see.
Are you saying that God was incapable of doing this?
God can do whatever he wants. I mean,
so he could have created Adam and Eve with free will and also created them where they would not have rebelled.
I think that would be self-contradictory.
So he's not omnipotent then?
Well,
wrong. Wait.
This is the argument. Can God make a rock so big he can't lift it?
No, not quite.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's
it
the
is.
same thing.
I think so. Can God give them free will without giving them free will?
Oh, yeah. Can a coin land on heads and tails same time? Aha, yeah, okay.
Do you think there was a point in time? Okay, so like in the Genesis story, Adam and Eve they rebel like immediately.
We don't know that. It could have been 100 years later. We know.
Okay, well, why couldn't it have been 1,000,000 years later?
Well, because Adam was 130 when Seth was born, and Cain and Abel are born before that. No dates are given, and they rebelled before that. So, assuming Cain and Abel were, say, in their 20s when one of them killed the other, they could have been in the garden 100 years, then rebelled, and then had Cain and Abel. They got big enough for one to kill the other, and then they have Seth.
Okay,
they could have screwed up almost instantly, like people today.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been. Right,
let's call X the amount of time that elapsed between the creation of Adam and whenever he ate the fruit.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think that God had any control over X?
No, he could have, but I think God. This was totally in Adam and Eve's hands. They made the decision to rebel. God didn't make them rebel.
So God didn't have any control over X.
He could have. I mean, do I have control?
So he did have control over it.
You're missing the point. I said he could have. Do I have control over my van? Yeah.
That's the difference between you and God in your worldview, is that God is omnipotent. He's not limited by, he can, he could, he's able to. It's all the same thing.
Can he choose not to do something?
What?
Can he choose not to do something?
Yeah, can he choose to put limits on himself?
That's a question I would ask you. You're the one that believes in God.
Yeah, I would say according to the Bible, God does choose to put limits on himself.
If you do this, then I'll do that.
So why did God choose for Adam to rebel at point X instead of at point, X
your
to the
problem right
100?
there. God didn't choose for Adam to rebel.
Well, but you're saying that he chose for it to happen within a certain time frame because he could have controlled it.
No. You're the one making that up. Adam and Eve are the ones who decided when they would disobey God. God didn't.
And you don't think that God could have changed the initial configuration of Adam's brain cells where it would have happened later?
Well, we're going around in a circle, and I got a lot of folks waiting, and 7 minutes left. Let's take this up tomorrow, and we'll get some of the philosophy books that deal exactly with that, or theology books. Could God make a world where nothing rebelled? Yeah, but then it's not really free will. So, all right, Jared, if we can call in tomorrow on that, I'd appreciate it. Take some more time for some of the other ones, and everybody's calling in. Why do you give Jared so much time? Well, we want to get him converted. That's why, folks. Be patient, okay? It may take a while. He's going to make a great creationist, by the way, when we get him converted.
Well, as long as he's 100% sure about some of the stuff they believe.
Yeah, well, that's true.
At least something.
Okay.